Valerie. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's zoning board meeting. Like she indicated, we have 3 applications. 2 of them are new and 1 of them is old. And Valerie indicated it'd like for you to turn your phones off or down, whichever. The only people that can speak or that want to speak to the board are the ones that's at the podium. No outbursts or commentary from the gallery. I have been known to suspend meeting and ask people to leave. That might occur tonight. I'm not against it. I hope you are. Please obey the rules. The first order of business will be the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Obie has made the motion to approve the minutes as submitted. Is there a second?
Second.
Clay with the second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Any sustained?
I'll abstain.
Okay, Lynn. Minutes carried, Sierra.
Thank you.
Okay, the first application tonight is application 3147. It's a special use permit for an event space venue on a 51 more or less acre tract of land zoned agriculture. This is submitted by Aaron Irvin, Karen Irvin, Mason and Kait Irvin, Makenna Irvin and Billy Kelley, Morgan Irvin and Mayson Adams on behalf of Thomas M. and Sharon S. Marshall, who are requesting the zoning actions described above on the tract of land located in part of the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 9, Township 42, Range 32, Cass County, and commonly known as 12702 East, State Route 2, Freeman, Missouri. Who, out of all those people, represents this application? Please come forward and tell us your story, ma'am.
My name is Makenna Irvin.
And I'm Mason Irvin.
Please speak up also. This room, I forgot to tell everyone, it's hard to hear in here, so when you're at the podium, even though we have a microphone, please be direct when you talk to us. The gentleman with the hat back there in the corner, you see me pointing at you? If you can't hear us, do that. Thank you, sir. Go for it.
Hi, I'm here tonight with my family to present our special use permit request. We're excited to share our vision for a customizable event space located right here in Cass County between Freeman and Harrisonville along 2 Highway. This venture is truly a family effort. Our ownership team includes my parents, Aaron and Karen Irvin, my siblings, Mason and Morgan, and each of our partners. As lifelong residents of Cass County, this project is very personal and meaningful to all of us. Collectively, our team brings a diverse range of professional experience such as construction management, entertainment management, facilities management, engineering, and pipe fitting. We believe that this positions us well to be able to build and operate a high-quality event space. Our goal is to create a flexible venue where people can host a variety of events, with a focus on weddings and fundraisers for local schools and charities. The property will include both indoor and outdoor ceremony options, along with a house structure that can serve as a bridal suite or be used for smaller gatherings such as baby showers, bridal showers, or family events. We'd also like to address a few questions that may come up. Number 1, alcohol. Guests will not be allowed to bring their own alcohol. Instead, we'll offer a curated drink package and provide licensed bartenders for limited hours, similar to other venues in the area. Number 2, operating hours. We're proposing event availability to be 7 days a week. Our closing times would be midnight on Fridays and Saturdays and 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. And number 3, on-site managers. An owner will live on the property, and there will always be a manager present for every event. To begin, we will include an orangery-style structure for indoor ceremonies, an outdoor ceremony site, bridal and groom suites, a security system, and on-site parking, trash service, and restrooms. In the potential second phase, we plan to have a second structure for an alternate venue option, limited overnight camper parking for out-of-town family and friends, similar to other venues in the area, and gated access to the venue. Thank you for taking the time to consider our proposal. We're excited about the opportunity to bring this dream to life and serve our community in a meaningful way. Thank you.
You gonna speak?
Nope, just for any questions. Didn't know if there's gonna be any questions.
Any questions? Yeah.
I saw there you had a trailer restroom.
Mhm.
How long will it be before you have permanent restrooms?
That will be in the second phase when we build the permanent structure. We'll include the permanent restrooms inside that structure.
And what's the timeline on that?
That'll be hopefully within the 2 to 3 year timeline, depending on how successful the venue is.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the parking, the hard surface, and you said something about RV type parking as well?
So it'll be a gravel parking lot with lighting so that we are safe in getting to and from our vehicles. There would be RV parking available for anyone that wants to stay the night from out of town. We would not provide like full hookups. It would just be a place to park your camper and stay the night.
So the RV parking will only be for the participants in the event center?
Or their family, yes, yeah.
But no hookups of any sort?
No, no hookups.
Can you describe the event, the structure, size, et cetera?
The building structure?
I can't tell here what exactly, where you're gonna have your events on this map I've been given.
Can I see the note?
Yeah.
So the first structure is gonna be in blue.
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna have,
Is that gonna be built or just currently there?
it's going to be built.
Okay. Describe that for us.
It's,
It'll be a extruded aluminum frame with paneling on it for the walls. That would come in with a vinyl siding or a glass siding.
And what's the square footage?
I
I need for you guys to speak up, please.
I don't know the square footage.
It's like 40 by 80, 40 by 60.
And when does that be built?
That would be one of the first things that we,
Phase one?
yep.
You spoke about how your family's got some experience in construction and management and entertainment. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
My degree is in entertainment management. I have experience working at a venue in college in Springfield. I worked there for my internship for 2 years. Then I graduated and was an intern for the Chiefs. I was the event operations coordinator, so we did a lot of outdoor events there. I operated and managed all of those. And currently now I'm working at the T-Mobile Center in operations and facilities management. So that's kind of how that translates. My mom is a facilities manager. My dad is a sales director for the engineering department. My brother is an engineer. And my boyfriend, Billy Kelley, he works for J.E. Dunn, and he's a construction manager. And my future brother-in-law is a pipe fitter. So.
Any other questions? Okay, the way this goes now for you, I'm going to ask for people to come forward that want to speak for your application. Then I'm going to ask for people to come forward to speak with concerns or against your application. Please make note of those concerns or those that are against, because then I'll have you come back and address each one of those with your answers.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, anyone here would like to speak in favor of this application, please come forward and identify yourself. Good evening, sir. We need for you to sign in, please.
My name is Doug Eberly. I've been a resident of Cass County since 1970. For 25 years, I was heavily involved in the government in Freeman. We struggled quite a bit to bring businesses into Freeman. We were successful to a small degree. I support any improvement to the county, bringing business and/or other people into the area for commercial purposes. That's as blunt as I can be.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to come forward? Please sign in, identify yourself, sir.
Hello, my name is Chad Dean. I'm a lifetime Cass County resident. I am employed at the Cass Midway School District. I taught second grade and third grade for 16 years. I've been the elementary principal there for the past 7 years. During that entire time, I've been a coach as well. I've coached the Irvin family, all the kids in football and basketball, know the family well. Just like Mr. Eberly was saying, you guys are familiar with the area. We're a small community, not much revenue coming in from businesses. So I too would like to see any improvement that way. It obviously benefits the school as well. Guess that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Please come forward. Okay, does anyone have some concerns or against the application? Please come forward. Identify yourself by signing in.
Good evening. My name is Tina Carver. I am a lifelong, I've lived on the property that will be very close to where they're wanting to put this venue. I've lived there all my life, and I am against this because we moved into a rural area for it to be rural, not commercial. We have concerns about the noise, because I've been around buildings that no matter how enclosed they are, you're gonna hear this boom, boom all the time. And basically in my backyard, I feel like that's what I'm gonna be hearing. Also have concerns, the exit road for where this venue would be people coming in and out of is right there on 2 Highway on a curve. It's gonna bring a great deal of traffic in that area. It's gonna maybe bring traffic up our dirt road, which is very close to where that exit is. Drunk drivers, I don't care if you give them a card or not, when you have these venues, people come out of there drunk and they drive drunk. So that's a big concern. We have neighbors that live close by, headlights coming in and out of there, shining on their house. The land, we have cows, just nature in bringing in this big venue. I have big concerns about that. I sit down on my front porch. I recently retired. I look forward to sitting out there in peace and quiet, and that is going to end that for me. I've been in this area my whole life, and yet it's outside of Freeman. I'm 3 miles out of Freeman, and it's just right across the road down the way. So I don't know. I can't think of everything I thought to say, but maybe I can come back up. Can I? Or do I only get one chance?
We'll see.
Huh?
We'll see.
Okay. But I do have concern, and I would reach out to the people to consider what they're bringing into my area, my community, but my backyard. In commercial, I look at it as being more toward town, not right out in the middle of rural Missouri. Rural, in between Freeman and Harrisonville. But anyway, that's all I can think of at the moment. So I will turn it over to someone else.
How close would you say you are to this proposed site?
The way that comes back in, you would go down my dirt road, which is very close, and there's two highways, maybe a tenth of a mile, I don't know what the measure of it at. There's a house across the road, it would be right behind there. And it's very close enough, I'll hear it. Because I hear the neighbors just right there by me, and it's just a little ways from them whenever they have loud music. But that's just them playing loud music in their backyard. It's not an every night, every Saturday, Sunday night, or during the week. You're taking my peace away. I'm going to oppose it.
You've lived there how long now?
I've lived there 64 years.
That's outstanding. Congratulations.
And my family has lived there. There's several of us up and down that road. And that road may end up getting a lot of traffic of people avoiding going on the highway. Because I do believe that will happen. Drunk drivers will be out there. They'll try to dodge the police on the highway. They'll come up our dirt road, which is right close. So I feel like it's going to bring extra traffic up our road where we have kids riding bicycles. We have just us out walking on the road. It's just going to change our way of life that we've had for so long. I wish the people would really think about that before they do that to us. So I'd reach out to their heart to think about us and how long we've been there. We've been a part of that community for a really long time, and I have a large family around that area. So
All right.
I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Diane Tomicelli, and I am Tina's sister, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the family because my brother that lives just down the road is not able to make it tonight. And first off, I want to say that we have nothing against the Irvin family making a business and supporting the Freeman community. We have nothing against that. It's the location of this business. And I heard Doug Eberly come up here and say that they want to build the community for Freeman, okay? Build that place closer to Freeman. Build up those businesses that are in Freeman because the traffic that comes there will want to go to those gas stations and get drinks or something, stop and grab a snack or fill up on their car on the way home. So build it closer to Freeman. I heard that when he was supporting Freeman. We support the school. I'm sorry. And then also Chad Dean talking about the school. We definitely support money for the school. Our family has gone to that school forever. So we support that as well. Again, it is solely the location. And we have looked at some different things about, not so much, I don't know that piece of property and how much flooding happens over there. But I know that flooding does happen down the gravel road where our family farm is, that Tina owns. And on our family farm for well over 60 years is when it was purchased by us. Or my dad, not me, I'm not quite 60 yet. But they have been there a long time, and it does do some flooding down there. And every time there's a lot of increased traffic, the condition of the road goes really, really poorly. And that is the closest gravel road to to dodge being around police officers if you are driving under the influence. So inevitably, it would include traffic going down there. And there are some neighbors, and I honestly, I can't, his name is Kevin. There's some neighbors down the road that have some very significant health problems. So they walk on that gravel road because they're supposed to walk a certain distance. And that's one of the reasons they live in the country, is because they feel safe in doing that. Another family member has dogs, and they walk the dogs up and down that road. The kids in our family ride bikes up and down the road from one family member's house to another family member's house. And this has been going on for, I'm 59, so it's been going on since I've been old enough to ride a bike. So it's been going on a very long time. But again, that's the reason you move to the country. There is livestock and wildlife. One of the things that's great is to sit out on, when we have big family events, sitting out on Tina's deck and watching the deer run by. But when they hear loud noise, they leave the area. They're not accustomed to loud noise like the deer are around town. So the deer around town, they hear lots of noises and all that kind of stuff, and they're used to it, so they stay there, but not out in the country. They don't do that. Hazards of the, she did mention the curve on that road where the traffic would be coming and going. Not only that, but the gravel road that they drive down is curvy. There's a couple of very sharp curves, and there's this one area where the road, you go down it and it kind of dips and curves a little bit to the left. It doesn't go real straight, and there's two houses right up in there that have kids, and they're not like at the road, but they're not too far from it. So it's a country community. Farmers, their kids are out playing later in the evenings. So that's concerning. It's concerning that moving into that area for a few nights of that type of fun would be ruining the peaceful countryside for so many families. We're not the only family that's been around there a long time. In addition, anybody who has chickens or has raised chickens, you know chickens stop laying when there's too much noise and too much craziness about that area. Sound will travel in the country a little bit more than it will sometimes in town because there's no buildings to block the travel of sound. It just blows with the wind. People do have other animals, and so it's just been, they talk about a tradition of family. And again, we're not against the family. We're not against them having a business. We're just against the location. And we just hope that you take into consideration the number of different lives that will be affected by this venue going in that particular location.
What is the name of that gravel road you referred to?
South Lewis Road.
South what?
South Lewis Road.
Thank you.
My family missed it by a couple of years of it being named after us when they put in 911.
So your issues are location, noise, and traffic.
And the effect on the animals, the animal life out there, because that's part of the peacefulness of living in the country is you get to watch the squirrels and the rabbits and the deer and turkey and all of that. You get to peacefully go out and go mushroom hunting like people are doing right now. So yes, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me.
All right, please come forward, sir, while you're signing in. Many of you know that we have a threshold here that we adhere to sign in, sir.
Yep.
And so when the board has heard the same topic twice, we don't want to hear it again. So if anybody is going to speak about tonight, we've hit the threshold for traffic, noise. So you guys need to come up with some different topics other than that.
Good evening. My name's Terry Porter, and first, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to participate in these planning board meetings. I live at 12410 East State Route 2, so with the exception of maybe one property, I have the most adjoining property line to this proposed property, probably of anybody here. I'm just up the hill. If you look at your map that is in your packet, I have the two parcels directly south of the subject property. So you can see we overlap the whole distance of their property clear back on the other side of the creek. We are uphill from them, and I know you said we've heard about noise, but obviously we can hear doors slamming and things like that in the evenings when we're sitting out on our patio, and that's before any kind of a wedding venue. My understanding is this is an application that falls under the multi-use tier of special purpose permitting, and I have a couple of questions, and then I'll go into some concerns. And maybe I'll start with my first question is, does the zoning of this property, being agriculture, have any impact whatsoever on a special use permit? For example, if this were me standing up here with this proposal, could I also apply for an SPU when my property is zoned residential? I don't know if that really matters or not. I don't see how this venue enhances or does anything for agriculture. There's really not agriculture going on there now, but that's one question that I tried to find the answers for on the Cass County website, could not. Specific questions now that are probably to the applicants. I don't have to put my cheaters on, apologize. One of my questions, because I noticed on the application, the deed owners or the property owners are not the ones making this application. So will the applicants ever reside on this property? That's question one. What role will the property owners, the deed owners of this property today, what role will they have with this business? I think they've somewhat answered my next question, but I'd like more details maybe about phase 2, and that is, will this venue accommodate overnight events? It doesn't sound like that's the case in phase 1, but I see in their application that they're going to build a groom suite and a bride suite, and they're already allowing RVs and things, so I'm wondering if this begins to turn into overnight events of some kind. I know it's been mentioned that the access to this property is on a blind curve on 2 highways, so we're talking 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it is a shared gravel access that would be turning towards the north, kind of more towards the west off of Highway 2. And I've also got that under my list of concerns because they're going to catch a lot of people off guard on 2 Highway. The big Walmart trucks roll by nonstop, and there's going to be people who are not going to be able to know where they're turning. And
we know that, sir. This is the 3rd time we've heard. Let's move on to the next
okay.
topic, please.
I would be curious to know how the applicant plans to mark this driveway, since I saw that they can't really put signage out on Long Highway 2. So how will this venue be advertised and marked for people to find it? It's the driveway just past mine, by the way. I have a question about the permit and if the property is sold. So we're going through an application process today.
You're saying what happens to the SUP?
Yes,
If the
sir.
property's sold?
Yes, sir. If the property ends up being sold from
Well,
the
you want to
current.
answer that now?
It can be transferred.
by right, as long as the new owner agrees to fall in line with all of the approved conditions if this was to be approved.
Okay, thank you. And then I did see in some of this packet that, that the property would need to be completely fenced and gated. I didn't hear how they plan to do that. There's 50, 60-year-old fences that don't really exist between my property and their property, and so there really is no fence. I'm just curious as what the plans might be there. I'm going to move on to my concerns. I've already mentioned the first one, which is a safety issue. My second one is around sewage, septic, however you want to talk about it. I'm assuming that the property has something to accommodate the one or two homes that are sitting there now, but when you start talking about 300 people a day, I'm curious as how that is going to be handled. It's so close to the floodplain, and when it floods, all of that comes onto my property. And then it leaves my property and ends up going down towards Lewis Road, as was previously mentioned. I have a concern about my property value, I'll be honest. I bought out there in 2010. It was an investment for us, and we would like it to continue to be a good investment for us. We put a lot of time and effort into our property and a lot of money, and there's no doubt if we were to go to sell that today, and we would have to I guess disclose the fact that we have a commercial venue that shares the property line. I can't see how that's going to be in my favor ever. The noise until midnight. And then the final concern I have, and maybe it's even a question because I don't even know what the right answer is, but how many turnarounds in my driveway is considered reasonable? Because let's face it, Google Maps is not perfectly accurate. People are going to be sailing down the road. They're not going to know where the turn is. They're not, and we're going to have people turning, and you can't just back out onto 2 highway. So we're going to have people coming up our driveway, turning around, wondering where they are, going down Lewis Road, and so that's another concern. And with that, I'll leave it to somebody else to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Yes, thank you.
I like what you brought up. Anybody else like to speak this time? You're my noise barometer. You can't come and speak.
What's that?
Oh, you transferred it to her. Okay, got it. We're ready.
My name's Rick Guyvett. I got the property straight across the street from where they're wanting to do this venue. Pretty much everybody said all my concerns. They mentioned put it in parking lot lighting. That ruins the whole country living. It is the parking lot lighting. I don't want to sit outside and look up and not see the stars. Along with the noise, my dad lives on our property straight across. How many cars are going to go turn around in his driveway? People already go up and turn around and come back out on 2. They do that on our driveway, knock our mailbox down a few times a year. We're right off of 2. So what everybody else said, I agree with. I'm not against the Irvins doing the business. I wished it was proposed somewhere else. So
Okay.
I think that's what I got to say.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much, sir.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Oh, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Gayla Anderson, and I live right next door to the property. My concern is putting up proper fences and drunks. I never thought of the lights. I don't want lights out there. When I built my place out there 33 years ago, the power and light company wanted to put up a light pole and put a light on it. And I said only if it had an on-off switch. So, and Mrs. Carver is right as far as I know the driveway's been mentioned, but the highway department went through there a couple of years ago and took out all the shoulders. So you can't even pull off the highway to pull into that driveway. I think that's it. Everything else everybody else had, I'm concerned about.
And do you agree with the other stuff that's already been mentioned?
The concerns, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Oh, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Debbie Guyvett. I agree with all of the comments that have been said so far about the venue being put in across the highway from us. The one thing that hasn't been mentioned that concerns me is it's not only going to be people in our community that is going to use this facility. You're going to have people coming from all other towns, from the city, all over that have the possibility of using it. And my concern is that you've got strangers coming up and down your road, turning into your house, looking at your property, and I feel that it's going to increase theft and property damage, as well as all of the other things that were already mentioned. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We've already heard enough, ma'am. Kate, you want to come forward and answer the questions and concerns?
I will just say my name is Makenna, not Kate.
Makenna, I'm
This is
sorry.
confusing. No, I know it's confusing. It's my brother.
And I'm Mason Irvin.
Okay, I apologize.
You get
So,
Okay, you got a pretty good list there?
yeah, I got a note
You're
worth.
an engineer, right?
So, speaking of, with the noise concerns, that was a big one that was brought up tonight. We chose this location based on its remoteness, so we didn't affect as many people. If we moved it into town, it would be a bigger issue. The closest neighbor we have, house to the event site, is about 600 feet, and the average decibel rating for noise of a DJ is about 85. So whenever you go to the distance of 600 feet, that's about 50 to 60 decibels, which is a normal conversation. That's the loudness of it. That doesn't take into account, there's a large amount of trees in between us and the neighbors that would dissipate more noise, as well as it's inside a building. Another concern that was brought up was location and the access to the venue. As far as the signage is concerned, we plan to put up a gated access with signage on the gated access. We own all the way, or we would own all the way up to the highway, 60 feet. Now, there was mention of the current property owners and what their involvement would be. We're just purchasing the property from them, and we would have someone live on site permanently. We also
Have
have
someone from your group
group? or
Yes,
something?
my mom, Karen. So we would not be ever going to introduce an overnight event. It would, we want to be able to cut it off at midnight. People that are staying in the campers can stay in the campers, and that would be it. No more music, loud noises. We have also heard a few things about the lighting. We would look at bringing that lighting down below the tree line, or even as a rail light, to where you can still see where you're getting around, but it's not a nuisance to anybody living around us. As far as the impaired driving, I just want to reiterate that we will be having licensed bartenders. It's not going to be an open alcohol event where you can bring whatever and drink whatever. We would be able to cut people off. It's limited hours. We'll only be serving for 3 to 5 hours based on the package that was purchased. Not every event has alcohol. There's a lot of weddings that'll take place during the weekdays anymore that they just have the wedding and move on. They don't have to have a reception. We'd also be willing to look into giving county permission to sit on the property to do radar. We feel like that would be another helpful step to try to improve anybody that was trying to leave under the influence. It would also help in general traffic, because they could come and sit on the property anytime they wanted around those curves. We also are near a bar that people are free to come in from, into as they please, and we don't think that this event space will increase any likelihood of any accidents. We are the last people that want anything to happen because of an event at our space. So we do try to take these precautions, but there's only so much we can do. As for the bathrooms, it is to begin with, a trailer. KC Site Services is a company that we are looking at using. You can get a 2-4 bay restroom, and those would be cleaned weekly. They'd pump them out, take them off, or after every event. Moving on to a more permanent bathroom, there's issues with it maybe being in the floodplain and what allocations that would have to the neighbors. And we have, the floodplain is well out of where we're planning on putting the venue site. It's on the back half of the property. It's all the woods down there by the creek. We're elevated above it, and we would get the needed applications and go through the engineering process for that. We have spoke with MoDOT about access onto the property. They feel like an event this size won't increase traffic around that corner much at all. Especially leaving, people will all leave at different times. And if they said that if we ever decided to go more than our 300-person limit, that they would consider reevaluating to put a turn lane on that part of the highway. As for the shoulders on that highway, they're one of the largest in the county for shoulders. I mean, people pull off there all the time. as I mentioned, the storm runoff, we don't plan to do anything that would affect the current runoff. We would look at terracing where the outdoor venue would be, but all that runoff would still go to the east side of the property, or the west side of the property where it runs off into the creek, or to the south where we have a drainage ditch. I'd like to address the walking on the roads, county roads, that people may turn down. We would not think that there would be people walking on the road at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, whenever this issue would be an issue. There was mention of a requirement of a fence around the property. If that is a requirement, we're not afraid to put a fence around the property.
What were you going to fence? Anything?
We were gonna fence the driveway, the entrance. So we got 60 feet up to highway. And we would fence the driveway with gated access, just so that it can be closed on non-event hours or such. As far as property values, around event spaces, that hasn't been what has been shown on the more recent, event spaces that have been added. Property values haven't gone down. Speaking of other event spaces, we've talked to neighbors of the Haven, which would be in Miami County, and they don't have issues with the noise, and that's open field. There's no disruption by trees or any of the sort.
I know it was mentioned about wanting to move the business into Freeman. Like Mason said earlier, having it in town would affect more people than it is right now. And to be honest, Freeman is it's very rare for property to go up for sale in Freeman. I would love to be able to buy property right next to my parents, but that will never happen. It seems to be very scarce. So we would love to be able to have a plethora of options to be able to build our community, but this is what was presented, and it's perfect for what we're looking for. So I just wanted to address that.
Any other questions?
Thoughts? Are you going to do any hourly rentals, like 2 a week, be rented out like 2, 3 hours?
Yeah, we would look at doing hourly rentals for like baby showers and graduations. Yeah, I mean, yeah, family reunions. I mean, a lot of those are going to be community members, and that's who our target audience is.
Well, I'd like to know a little bit more about, I see in phase 2, you mentioned, let me get the, excuse me, this stuff here. Right here. Phase 2, you have add, you say you want to add overnight camper parking. Are you planning on doing overnight camper parking in phase 1? What does that mean? What are you talking about doing there?
So there's a venue in Butler that allows campers to stay overnight, so that people that are from out of town that don't want to go get hotel rooms or anything can stay on site in the campers. That would potentially be part of a phase one if we can manage that. But for sure in a phase two.
Valerie, we're looking at phase one this evening, is that correct?
Unless you want to see both phases, but we would need more information before we consider phase two. Because when you get into the overnight RV parking, that is opening up a whole different
Where
ballgame.
in the application is the overnight parking? Can't, I find it on that page, but what about their main business plan? They don't mention that in there.
It's not on there.
Can I
Well,
comment?
let me just tell you, I thought we were looking at a venue site, and I guess I didn't look at that one page. Actually, I don't even think phase one says it.
Phase one does not say camper parking. We put it in
Yeah.
phase two so that we wanted to mention a phase two if it's approved, and it's all dependent on the business. And if we were to do that, we would take the proper steps, just like Mason said, for the second phase with the building and the sewage and everything. We would take the proper steps to come and reapply for whatever we need to do. But as far as we're concerned, Cass County doesn't have any regulations on any overnight Airbnb type of restrictions. And so if there's any that we don't know of, we would love to hear, but that's something that we weren't expecting. So we wanted to mention it in phase two so that you all knew and there wouldn't be any surprises, and we could evaluate that as it comes.
All right, so why is it being mentioned in phase one?
It wasn't mentioned in phase one. It's on
You just
phase
said it
two
was.
here. If we were able to have the money to be able to do it, that would be in phase one, but we plan for phase two.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So, and that's what you're saying is what we're going to vote on or talk about, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not overnight camping.
Okay.
Not phase one.
That's okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, so the way I understand is if someone from out of town came in with a camper, and, you know, like the event was over at 11 o'clock, they wouldn't have to leave that night. They could stay in their camper on the ground until the next morning. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and it will be monitored. It's not a free-for-all. We are not a RV parking lot, and it would be only to friends and family of the bridal party. So it'll be very limited, and it's similar, since we don't have the full hookups, it would be similar to someone sleeping in their car. So,
Lee, you got anything?
So if this is approved the way it is, there's no overnight camp. There's no RV stand.
Right,
Correct.
because it's not part of the SUP language, yes.
So just so they're clear.
Because that was
Right.
taken into consideration as a phase two. If they decide to go that route, they will come back in through this process again. Yes.
There was a comment about wanting to know more about phase two. I don't know if we want to address any of that now. If anybody's,
I don't care to hear about phase two now.
all right, sounds good. Oh, I did get the answer to your question earlier about the size. It's 52 by 80, so
52 by 80,
4,200 square foot.
4160
Yeah.
square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you know, most of these things we've done, folks, most of them don't go to midnight. They're going to midnight. We've got one coming up later, we're not letting go midnight because of the surrounding neighbors. What's your all thought? You want to let it go to midnight since it's out further or what?
Maybe it's probably gonna be consistent, regardless of where it's at.
You guys got any forbearance? You got any give on that midnight thing? On
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, we'd be willing to go to 11, and then
Good. 11. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I've gone through my question. I think we pretty well, you guys pretty well got everything answered that folks brought up. I did have one, this isn't for you guys. Mr. Porter brought up something about a zoning request, his second point line item. I couldn't, he said SPU, I'm sure he meant SUP. He does zoning request. Mr. Porter,
Yeah, as if he could
do you
then
know what he was
apply.
asking?
I think so. So they have an agriculture, or intend to purchase an agricultural zone piece of property. In order to do this type of event venue, they have to apply for a special use permit, but the zoning remains agriculture. An SUP application process is not permitted on a residential rural zone property, which is anything less than 20 acres or more than 3 acres. So in his question, no, he would not be able to if his tract is only 10 acres in size. But it wouldn't prevent, there was another neighbor just to the east that has agricultural. If they saw fit to make application for something similar, they would have the ability to make application and go through the same process.
Does that help, Mr. Porter, at all? Did you hear it? Did it help?
I mean, my question is really about, it's ag now, but it's not. Everybody around it is residential except.
No, it's agriculture with a special use permit designation.
And would it remain agriculture?
It remains agriculture.
Being bought for this commercial application?
They're buying land that is zoned agriculture. They're here this evening requesting a special use permit for an event site. The land will retain its agricultural zoning designation. Yes, sir. That's really that definition of special use permit in the zoning rules. Okay. Any questions of the folks? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Valerie, any questions or comments?
I do not have any unless you guys have any for me.
You guys have any questions for Valerie? All right, the chair would accept the motion at this time.
Make a motion to approve application 3147 as submitted along with the submitted planning board report.
With the change of hours.
Change of
With
hours.
the change of hours to 11 p.m.
Okay, Clay's made the motion to accept 3147 as submitted with the change of the 11, from 12 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Is there a second?
Second.
Lynn with the second. Any questions?
To clarify, it's.
Go for it.
That's all Monday through Sunday, whatever, 11 p.m. latest.
Sunday through Thursday will be 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday will be 11 p.m.
The other days are already less.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are a recommending body. We recommend to the commissioners approval of your application. Is that the date now?
For this
Okay.
one it is.
All right, so at the April 30th meeting, on Wednesday, April 30th at 12 noon on 3rd floor, your application will be heard. You need to be there to represent your application with the commissioners. Thank you.
You can go if you want, or you can hang out for the rest of the meeting. It's up to you.
All right, good.
Okay, if you guys don't want to hang out for the rest of the meeting, if you want to go ahead and continue your conversation in the hallway. Okay, Mr. Hurd?
Okay, application 3148 is a lot split and rezoning of a parent tract of 10 more or less acres with the zoning designation of residential rural into a 3.11 more or less acre tract and a 7 more or less acre tract, both to retain residential rural zoning designation. This is submitted by Mackenzie Crumpley on behalf of Sean L. and Andre M. McCoy, who are requesting the zoning action described above on the tract of land located in part of Lot 7 of the northwest quarter of the Section 6, Township 44, Range 32, Cass County, commonly known as 25103 South Overfelt Road, Freeman, Missouri. Who represents this application? Please come forward. Freeman's busy tonight. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Crumpley. I'm the one that submitted the application. This is Andrea McCoy. She's current owner and my mother. So we are just trying to split off the land so me and my husband and my family can build on it, and then my grandma and uncle can build on the 3 acres. So we're just all trying to make a family compound.
No event center?
No event center. That's right.
Okay. Any other comment, any questions of the applicant? Thank you. That's it. Anyone here like to speak in favor of the application? Oh, yeah.
You're the applicant, you're okay. It's okay, we can fill it out.
Evening, sir.
Bob Ross. I am the, excuse me, northeast neighbor to the McCoys. I've lived there 5 years. They moved in 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember. I'm familiar with the McCoys. I'm familiar with Ms. Crumbly. I feel good. I know somebody is gonna get that property at some point and build there. I would be more supportive of a couple small family homes going in there than some big mansions. So, I support the change of zoning or the splitting off of the land. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but.
Both.
Excuse me.
Both, they are
Both.
splitting and then zoning it.
Splitting and zoning. So, I don't see how anyone would have any big concerns in my side of the neighborhood. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone has concern or would like to speak against? Okay, Valerie.
They've done everything that's been asked of them. I've talked to Mackenzie quite a few times over the past couple of years with them debating on how they were gonna do the property, to benefit them as a whole for their family and to get everyone close, but they've done everything that's been asked of them, including soil tests for their on-site wastewater.
Okay. Any questions of Valerie? The chair would accept the motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to accept 3148 as submitted along with the planning board report.
Okay, Lynn has made the motion to accept 3148 as submitted. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike with the second. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, your application has been approved. It will be heard Wednesday, April 30th at noon on 3rd floor. You need to be there. Okay. Okay, application, this is old business. It's application 3134. It's a conceptual special use permit for an event space venue on a 129-acre tract of land zoned agriculture, submitted by Matthew Brown on behalf of himself and Deanna Brown, who are requesting the zoning action described above, located on a tract of land in part of the northwest quarter of Section 33, Township 46, Range 33, Cass County, commonly known as 1401 East 195th Street, Belton, Missouri. All right. Ms. Brown. Evening to you. Good evening. Third time.
Okay there?
Yeah, looks good.
Thank you. I have some notebooks with a lot of documents, and it's easier to reference tabs.
Mr. Brown, why are we here again tonight?
Well, I really wanted to address all the, really the significant steps that we've taken to address and really understand the concerns that both the neighbors and the board have brought up. And so I mean, we really just carefully listened and really tried to find solutions to all the questions and concerns that came up. A couple things that we did is we engaged with an urban and planning engineering consultant as well as a sound technician. And then we also had a second neighborhood meeting last Thursday evening on the 17th, so we could just talk through all the changes and address any concerns. And in that executive summary, which is under the first tab in the notebook, are really those concerns that were raised along with the steps that we've taken, to address them, to alleviate the issues. And I'll just kind of talk through them and also reference the main page that really kind of summarizes everything that came up in the issues and how we address them. So the first one, first thing just to say is that our policies are going to align with previously approved special use permits and won't create a greater impact. So we asked for copies of the approved special use permits from 6 other similarly situated event venues and then compared them to our business case and made changes to our business case. And if you'd like to address that, if you'd like to look at that matrix, it's behind the third tab. It's 2 pages. It's a spreadsheet. Ours is at the top, and then we've summarized these other approved event venues so you can see and get a comparison of them. And if needed, I have the copies of those approved SUPs as well. But so as a result of this information, we modified our request to really just closely align with those others that have been approved, and in most cases, we're just requesting less impactful policies than what have been previously approved. So first, on the hours of operation, there was definitely some confusion there, and I wanted to clear that all up. So we've adjusted our hours of operation to accommodate all those concerns, and our hours now match those of our peers, or in some cases are more restrictive than those other similarly situated venues. So we're asking for Monday through Thursday, hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and we'll stop the music at 9 p.m. And that's better than 2 peer event venues and the same as 3 peer event venues. And then next, our Friday through Sunday hours of 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., this is just occupancy hours. So they match 3 peer event venues who also close at 11:30 for their occupancy, and it's better than two peer event venues that actually close at midnight, and there was one event venue that closed at 11 p.m. And then next regarding the music, which I spoke to just a little bit, but actually our indoor and outdoor music policies are going to be more restrictive than most of our peers. And so what we're asking for there is Friday to Sunday. The indoor DJ and band will end no later than 10:30. And we'll have, we just need an hour to clean up so the folks can just grab their decorations and whatever's left behind that they can leave by 11:30. And then outdoor, the DJ and band will end no later than 9 p.m. And then for Monday through Thursday, indoor and outdoor DJ band and band will end no later than 9 p.m. So how this compares with our peers' approved music policies. For outdoor, 3 of the peers can have outdoor music until 11:30 p.m. and 1 can have music until midnight. And then indoor, 5 of 6 can have actually later music with band and DJs. So we're definitely asking for more restrictive policies when it comes to the music. And then next regarding the sound, so we did conduct a sound study. So we hired Brent Handy, who's here with us today. He's a certified technology specialist from Advanced Sound and Communication. And so he uses really sensitive equipment that meets really super rigorous industry standards for accuracy and reliability, and it's really trusted for use in high-stakes environments. So Brent's also trusted by the county as well, and I understood that Brent and his team were called upon to repair the sound system down at the sheriff's office training room. So is it okay if I bring Brent up? He can talk through the sound study?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to speak loudly. I don't need a microphone. So our method.
What's your last name again, Brent?
Handy, Handy.
Thank you, sir.
So I've done this before, and some of the other cases I've done have gotten national press. Back when MTV was on MTV, things like that. There's some standardized testing methods that we do. Unfortunately, in this area, you don't have specific laws for noise. You don't have a noise ordinance the way that Olathe or Kansas City might have. And so typically what we do is we measure to see if it's above 70 dB after the hours of 7 p.m. And if it's above 70 dB, then we let them know that's too loud. Typically where that's measured at is on the property line. So what we did to start the test is we used, you had the other parties earlier mention that DJs only go to about 80, 85 dB. We brought a system out that would do 105 dB. And so we started at 100.5 decibels inside the house. And we measured inside the house 1 meter away. That's our first measurement. That's industry standard for testing speakers. And then we measured, and that speaker was 1 meter and some change away from a sliding glass door, which is going to have the worst leakage anywhere in the property. So we measured inside. We got our first measurement. That's our standard at 100.5 dB. We measured outside, and then that was, you can see it on that chart there. We're in the 70s. So just like other people mentioned, every time you double the distance, you lose half of your volume. And so I continued moving back. I doubled the distance from 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters. I kept going back until the ambient noise and the air took over. And so we're within 50 or 60 feet of the house, and the birds, the wind, all the ambient noise was louder than what we could measure. So then I took it out to the property lines and I measured at the adjacent owners' houses on their driveway, and it was unmeasurable. We're in the 30s. And so a library is in the 30 to 40s. So we're literally library level at the driveways of the adjacent properties, okay? So that was our test message. Method. We compared that with a model that's also in the printed documents there. So the model matches. I mean, we're within a few decimals of the computer-generated model. And so people will say, I can hear things from neighbors. That's true. You might be able to hear some noise from a neighbor, but the thing you should judge it against is the noise coming from the neighbor's house. If any of these people have central heat and air, they've got a unit outside their house. Those things average between 60 and 70 decibels on their own. Any noise that's coming from whose property is going to be masked by, especially in the summertime when they have their air conditioning on. They're not going to hear it indoors. So that's pretty much it.
Just one quick thing to clarify. Brent did place the sound equipment outside as well. So that was those measurements he was talking about.
Right.
I think you're...
Yeah, we moved it all outside, which we were louder than any... My company does a lot of rentals for DJs. We know what they use, and we're louder than what they would use. And we aimed it on purpose at the properties across the street, and we weren't able to measure anything. So that's about all I have to offer. There can always be louder noise, but it's not going to come from the sound system inside the house or out on the back deck. It's just not going to reach the property owners. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Handy.
Thank you, Brent. Okay. So next, we did remove the outdoor patio that was on the east side, just to, again, alleviate any potential noise concerns for that side, which is where most of the nearby residential structures are located. And then basically we're just going to be encouraging all indoor receptions. I don't think there'll be any, or maybe a very limited amount, but based on feedback of talking to really dozens of couples, nobody has ever said that they would like outdoor reception just because of the weather issues and even a bit of wind. But we're going to encourage all indoor receptions, again, just to further alleviate. I know Brent said sound won't be an issue, but we just want to take that extra step as well. Next, regarding the traffic. To get to our location, we are just one block from Highway D, and really the majority of the folks will be coming from Kansas City, which is roughly, 2 million plus folks. And so they'll be coming down Highway D, they'll be turning east on 195th, and they'll just pass, since we're just one block from Highway D, they just pass one home until they get to our property. And then next, we did call a MoDOT study. I'd like to look at this, but this is back from 2016. I'd like to look at that. Let's see here. Which shows, there's our number right there, 3,142 were the number of cars per day. Anybody like to look at that?
What are you talking about?
I've got a blown up version of it. It's really super small. I've got a blown up version of it.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here's a better version of it. Anybody would like to look at that? That's from 2016. And so our traffic levels, based on that MoDOT study from 2016, so 9 years ago, showing 3,142 vehicles per day. So if we filled our parking lot entirely, which is 102 spaces, that we would just add a 3.2% increase per day. And then if you estimate in roughly 2 to 3% growth over those last 9 years, we would add maybe about 2.7% traffic is all. And so, since we're off peak and most of the events primarily occur on Saturday, Friday, or Sunday in the afternoon or evening, we're really well outside those rush hours and really at a limited frequency since it's just roughly once or twice a week. And then if you look at the second tab there where we demonstrated that there's just a small increase of traffic and a gradual dispersed pattern of arrivals, which again, there's no sudden influx of folks, which just allows for free flow of traffic and parking. And that same trickle flow happens after the food service portion of the reception. That's when typically some of the older folks start heading out. And then as the event goes on, folks start trickling out. It's not really like a sporting event where everybody just leaves, when the clock hits 0. And then at the end of the evening, you got lots of folks that are still there from the wedding party, family, vendors, and so forth. Okay, next, regarding alcohol, we'll also be using licensed bartenders. I mean, we take this super seriously, right? We don't want any issues. We want people over drinking. So we are going to also require that they take it's called the SMART Online Server Training Program. It's the State of Missouri Alcohol Responsibility Training program. And I actually already completed that training. Next question was, I know some of the folks thought we were associated with the proposed airport or air park, and we're not. We're not associated with them at all. And then next, some of the folks were concerned that because we didn't live on the property, that we wouldn't be really impacted by it. And we do want to live on the property. We can't just do it at this time. We do want to subdivide it in the next 2 to 3 years, to build a home and live there. We've talked about it since the day that we had the property under contract. And further, we don't live there, but like I said, we want to live there. But we do attend Hope City Church just down the road here. And actually, my son-in-law runs the sound team. So we're invested in the community. I want to be a good neighbor. I want to be part of what's happening. And so, like I said, we're invested in the community. The next question was regarding the number of guests. And we just wanted to clarify that that's the same occupancy level, 300 on the property as well as in the building, so 300 total. And that's actually the same occupancy level that Sunset Ranch event space, which recently opened is on 11.5 acres, was approved for. And but the reality is we're not going to rarely, if ever, get to that number because the average wedding size in the U.S. is just 131. So I don't think we'll ever utilize that maximum occupancy level. And if you go back to tab 3 in column 4, that's where we have the lowest, nearly one of the lowest guest density levels per acre at 2.3 on a 129 acre property. And next, there was concern regarding the risk of fire, and we'll definitely ban lanterns and balloons, fireworks, anything like that. There's concern about animals, and I've actually raised farm animals in the past, so I totally understand that. We don't want any issues there. And then the next one was concerned about large outdoor events or festivals that could get out of hand. And based on feedback from a couple of our neighbors, that there was just we kind of miscommunicated how we wrote this table, but focus on weddings, and we're not going to do any outside fairs, festivals, or car shows. And so, again, just alleviating concerns over large-scale events. We will host other events that are less intensive than weddings. So, for example, if we think about a conference or someone just standing up front, they'll just have a microphone and show a PowerPoint. So, less intensive events. And then regarding lighting, we'll just be doing the low bollard lighting, the string lights, and normal lights. And then the next one, the density of neighborhoods. So we asked this urban planner to look at the average number of rooftops. And you can find this under tab number 5, which is where this table is located. So we asked him to take a look at a satellite view of all the different rooftops within 1 mile. And the system doesn't really differentiate between like homes, barns, and sheds and other structures and things like that, but it basically showed that the density of nearby properties within 1 mile of 7 other event venues was significantly higher than that of the properties that are proposed near our Spring Lake venue. So our neighborhood impact is actually lower than our peers at 92 versus the peer average of 342 rooftops. So I guess bottom line is, just comparing ourselves to other venues, we're just being the same or less intensive than any other event spaces that have been approved or already been approved. And like I said, we want to be a good neighbor. I want all these folks. Obviously, I'm going to live there. I want them to be friends with us. I want to have communications with them. Just want to be a good neighbor just across the board. So we tried hard to address all the concerns across the board, and we're just fully committed to working with them, working with you and the county to provide a space that's good for the community. I'm not sure when it makes sense. I do have some letters that were written from some folks in support that weren't able to be here. Whenever it makes sense, if you want me to read them.
You can give them to Valerie, put them in the minutes.
Sure.
Are these, have you addressed what the commissioners asked you to address with this package? I wasn't there, I don't know what they asked you to do.
They asked us to just come back and readdress the concerns because we had made so many changes to address the concerns. That's why they asked us to come back, just to clarify.
But clean it up and represent it?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's precisely it. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. I can't remember 6 or 7 letters that I have there. Oh, thank you.
No, Mr. Brown, hold on a second. Yes, I'm sorry. Any questions for Mr. Brown?
What's your parking lot? Will it be gravel?
Initially, we're looking at gravel unless we can afford to do pavement.
Tell me a little bit about the lighting.
Yes, the low bollard lighting, it's 4 foot in length. It's the little round posts that have kind of like down shields on it. So super low.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of the application, please come forward. Ladies first, okay?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rochelle Worrell. I live at 1009 East 195th Street, so I am immediately adjacent to this property. I actually sold Mr. Brown the property, so I'm very familiar with it. It sits way off the street. So my house, I'm the closest house to the actual structure. I think I'm 1,700 feet from it, if I recall correctly. And we have a lot of woods in between us. We're kind of along the same line. I can't really hear what's going on over at his property. Not that he's had some big events. He did have a camping group behind my house about a month ago, and they were all quite nice, and I didn't hear them, even though I could see some lights in the distance. But I've heard some neighbors say, oh, I'm not really opposed to a housing development. I find a wedding venue much less intrusive than a housing development because I can walk my property in the morning with my dogs and it's still all pasture. These houses
houses are set, Matt's house, my house, we're set way back from the road. You can't really see the house from the road. It's pasture. When you drive by, it looks like it's a farmstead still. You can't tell what's there. And so I feel like my husband thinks we'll have some bad 70 music wafting over sometimes, and I think that's possible, although I like 70s dance music. But other than that, I don't think that I will at least be greatly impacted. I'm the one, the cars will be driving in front of my house if they're coming from Holmes Road. But we're so far off the street that we don't.
You're closest to the railway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's underground at that point. Yeah, and I hear the train isn't that loud, 'cause it's quieter. Some of the traffic on Holmes is loud, but 195th Street I don't hear.
Okay.
So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to speak in favor? Please come forward.
I'd like to read a letter that I've written to the commission.
Can we get your name, sir?
Yes, my name is George Commons, and I've been a resident county for almost 6 years now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So dear Cass County Commissioners, Zoning and Planning Board, I'm writing to you as a resident of Cass County and the managing partner of the Barnabas Group Kansas City, a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering ministries and nonprofit organizations across Kansas City by connecting them with marketplace leaders who offer strategic guidance, resources, and mentorship. Our mission is to maximize the impact of these organizations, transforming lives and strengthening communities through faith-driven collaboration. Today, I ask you to vote in favor of approving the Spring Lake Wedding and Event Venue, a project that aligns with our values and promises to serve as a catalyst for positive change in Cass County and beyond. The Spring Lake event space, led by its owner Matt Brown, represents more than just a beautiful venue. It is a beacon of community investment and generosity. For the past 3 years, Matt has been a steadfast supporter of the Barnabas Group Kansas City, demonstrating a heart for advancing noble causes and uplifting organizations that serve the greater good. His commitment to our mission has been unwavering, and now, through his generosity, Matt has pledged to donate the use of the Spring Lakes facilities for our quarterly meetings once the new building construction is complete. This gift will be a profound blessing to our organization, providing a space to gather Christian business leaders, ministry partners, and nonprofit visionaries to strategize, network, and amplify community impact. Our quarterly meetings bring together marketplace professionals to mentor and support ministries and nonprofits in addressing critical needs such as affordable housing, recovery programs, youth outreach. Hosting these events at Spring Lake will not only enrich the experience for our members and 20 business sponsors, but also allow us to showcase the venue's potential to other Kansas City area nonprofits, encouraging them to utilize the space for their own fundraisers and community events. The benefits of Spring Lake extend far beyond the Barnabas Group Kansas City. Spring Lake's versatile space will be ideal for housing events that raise awareness and funds for the ministries we've mentored in Kansas City. The venue will help nonprofits of all sizes, enabling them to create memorable events that inspire donors, volunteers. Furthermore, the economic ripple effect of revenue will bolster Cass County's tax base and fund services like schools, roads, and public safety. Approving Spring Lake is also a statement of the kind of future we want for our state. Missouri stands at a crossroad where we must embrace change and invest in businesses that prioritize community welfare over public needs, public profit. Matt Brown exemplifies the kind of leader we need. someone who is willing to invest time, resources, and passion into helping others. In a time when many communities face challenges like housing shortages, childcare deficits, and social disconnection, we must support individuals and businesses that step up to make a difference. In closing, I respectfully ask you to approve the Spring Lake wedding event venue. By supporting Spring Lake, you are supporting a future where businesses and nonprofits work hand in hand to uplift communities, honor noble causes, and transform lives. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anybody else would like to speak in favor of the application? Okay, anyone here that has concerns or would like to speak against the application, please come forward. As you all noticed, with respect to the applicant and his presentation, we did not go through the whole presentation again because we've heard it in the past, and he was able to summarize it for us with this in a packet, so.
This is new information. I think I'd had this number run 3147. 3134. 3134. Okay. Here we are again. I'm Peggy Bruce. I live on 195th Street.
Evening, Peggy.
Hello. I've got some handouts. But I want to focus on the new information that Mr. Harvey has presented basically tonight. The notes on the board there. Okay. So here we are again, like we've said. Mr. Brown has introduced new information to his application that I would like to respond to. Okay, I usually talk really loud. I thought that'd be enough. Okay. Although some changes have been made, at heart, the issues remain the same. Page 1 of your handout. See the arrows down here, Jodan, the bar. See the arrow up here, Belton High School. See kind of in the lower left, Spring Lake and us as neighbors. A sound study has been performed. His contractor says it's going to be as quiet as a library for us neighbors near the venue, even with outside music. You might recall I've been up here before talking about decibel levels myself. In the country, the resting decibel level is 30 to 40. At night, it's 30 or below. Remember, a bird call was 44? So sound travels in the country. In fact, in the SUP, in the application on page 2, item number 7 says, point blank, DJs or live music shall not impact neighbors. Now, I can't combat all those statistics. Remember that Mark Twain quote about you can make numbers show anything you want to? I disagree with the findings of that study because I know what I hear with my own ears. Our neighbors hear the bar down in Jodan, which is a mile away. We all hear Friday night Belton High School games 4 miles away. We sit outside on our patios. That's the whole point of being in the country, remember? We don't want to be inside listening to the air conditioner go off. All right? We are outside and sound travels in the country. In fact, we all could hear the music from Mr. Brown's daughter's wedding at Spring Lake last year. So I have a hard time believing the numbers in that noise study and that we will not be disturbed by it. Handouts on pages 2 through 5. So Mr. Brown references the study about the number of homes that are located within a mile radius of some of these event venues. I picked out the 2 that had the highest number of houses listed. Silo Hills Farm, 849 houses within a mile, and Rogie Family Vineyard, 732 homes within a mile. So when you look at this on page 2, there's a map, there's Silo Hills Farm, and here's some houses kind of out around the perimeter that must fall within that 1 mile radius. But that's misleading. Turn to page 3. Saddle Hills Farms is in the middle of farmland. Empty, empty acreage. Hardly any houses around it. Same holds true for Rogie Family Vineyard, pages 4 and 5. You see some houses out around the perimeter, barely within a mile. On page 5, it's pasture land. So it's misleading to say, or it gives the wrong impression to say, just because there aren't as many houses within a mile, we don't have a right to complain. That feels disingenuous to me. So this venue is a whole lot more disruptive than they would like you to believe for us. Last page, this is a picture I took. I'm standing on the south side of my barn on my property looking over to Spring Lake. It is right there. There are no trees to block the sound between the venue and my property, my house. Remember, you might, from the last time I was here talking about, really to create a decent sound barrier, you have to plant a 25 to 30 foot wide barrier of trees within 50 feet of the source of the sound to make it worthwhile to provide any help. The trees they talk about planting are up on 195th Street, not over towards us, not towards the neighbors. That's just empty cropland again, where those trees are being planted. So nothing's going to be helpful to us. This is going to be the angle added onto the house, blasting the music right out at us. Like I said, ears don't lie. We can hear it already. So let's then change gears and talk about the operating hours back over here. Yes, they have been moderated for the better. That's helpful. However, 11:30 on a Sunday night, is that really necessary? You know, we talked about, many of us get up at 5 a.m. to go to work. Sure would be nice to have a quiet night to get rested for the week to come. Noise and wind turbines. We've talked about how Cass County has instituted a code for noise disturbances from wind turbines, 55 decibels from the edge of the property. I think that's great. You know, again, that's a noise disturbance. But just as Mr. Henney said, there are no sound noise disturbance codes for venues like this. I find that really surprising, and I think that's something that should be fixed, especially with the number of wedding event venues coming into the neighborhood. So, the focus on noise remains important. Another big issue, traffic and drunk drivers. Since our last meeting, things have changed for the worse. Mr. Brown describes in detail the schedule of traffic into a wedding during the day and early evening, and then just tonight he starts to talk about the outflow, the exit of traffic from a wedding, which will be at night in the dark out onto Holmes Road. We all know Holmes is a very dangerous road. 195th is an especially dangerous intersection, as Rochelle Worrell noted in her letter to Mr. Brown. We can count 9 fatalities at that one intersection. And in fact, those of you who live up in our area might know that Holmes was shut down in both directions just last week due to another bad accident. So, too much traffic, narrow road, no shoulders, rises in the road. You've heard me say I was sitting on Holmes Road facing south, turning left to go to my house. Someone came flying over that rise in the road, rear-ended me, and tipped me into the ditch. So that was a nice trip to the hospital I didn't have to have. That's what we're talking about. The even worse change now is that 195th has been designated a truck route. So big, we have all seen them. Dump trucks, 18-wheelers are tearing down that road at 45 miles an hour or more. So that creates a potentially tragic situation for cars turning out. When you look at Mr. Brown's map of his property, the exit route from the venue is located just to the east of another rise in 195th Street. So you've got this blind spot that you're trying to turn left out onto to 195th with trucks coming back and forth. So again, it just doesn't make sense. Finally, it's hard to respond to Mr. Brown's continually updated applications. We've committed a lot of time as neighbors and feel the burden of sharing our points of view, although we think it's worth it to be here to share with you every time. But his perceived inaccuracies, his inconsistencies, and the vagueness Before tonight, this chart said he's only gonna hold weddings. Now it's been scratched out, and now he's gonna hold some other stuff too. What are we to believe? Nowhere in any of this does it say he's agreed to limit the number of events per week. It could be 24/7, year-round, all-day events. Nowhere in here has he offered to compromise to say a maximum limit of number of events per week. Even restaurants and bars typically are closed Sunday, Monday nights to give people some rest. That's not the case here, at least the way he's got it proposed. And then this outdoor patio. He talks about removing an outdoor patio on the northeast side of the building. Well, when I relook at the plans, I don't see any patio on the northeast side. The A-frame here, this is north. The main patio is to the southwest. Is that the patio he's talking about? I don't know. This is back to the whole vagueness, inconsistencies. What is he talking about? Too often, it seems like in this whole process of this application, the supporting materials, things are stated that feel convenient or they sound good rather than they're factually true. So that's one of the main issues we all have is what is really being agreed to here and is it gonna stick? I'll close by saying, again, we'll request a noise disturbance study from the commission if we need to. You're all well aware of the various codes, zoning laws, etc. in the county and the state and federal, a key one of which holds property owners responsible for preventing noise disturbances on their premises, the concept of maintaining quiet enjoyment. In both of these proposals tonight, you've heard people talk about they live in the country for a reason, they spent good money to move out here, and we ought to be able to live by that based upon the codes as they are structured today. So even though Mr. Brown has tried to make adjustments, which I admit are moving in the right direction, the basic issues remain the same. And so I still cannot support this proposal in this application. Thank you for hearing me out again.
Thank you.
Is this your home here?
No, that is Spring Lake. I am standing on my property by my barn, and I am looking at, that's the Spring Lake house, that's the side of it.
And how far is your barn from this property?
Well, probably about 1,500 feet.
About a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, max.
Okay, thank you.
And my point is, from there, I can hear music coming out of the house from his daughter's way.
Are you on the north or the south side of the road?
I'm actually on both sides. My house is on the north side, my property is on the south side.
Thank you.
Okay. Who would like to come forward next? Oh, me.
Do I sign in here?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see you for our monthly meeting.
Good to see you.
My name's Vanessa Poremski. I am the retired probation and parole officer after 23 years. I'm not going to reiterate the dangers of Holmes Road. Everybody in here is aware of that. But one of the things I do want to talk about is in Mr. Brown's application, alcohol is a huge part of his sales. He often refers to the bar packages throughout his website. I believe it accounts for 33.5% of his profit. And again, that may have been a previous application that I saw, but the application I saw at the time indicated that. The website indicates, wine pour. Our staff keeps guest wine glasses full during the reception, starting at $6 per guest. So isn't that typically 3 to 4 hours of a full glass of wine or beverage? That's a lot of alcohol. And I think he's going to have a bartender, an event coordinator, which sounds like to me like a bar. I don't know. Mr. Brown indicates he wants to be a good neighbor. I don't think he does. I think he wants a business permit. Because if not, we wouldn't be here for the 5th time trying to get this permit passed. I have no idea who Mr. Brown is. He says he is from Arizona, South Dakota. He lives with his daughter in Kansas. I don't know who this man is. He sounds like a wonderful man, being very giving to the local charities. But again, I have to say that's the one thing that was heartfelt with the whole family that was involved with the event space previously. They were from the community. I'm not for the event space, but I love the fact that it was a community and they were all working together as a family, and other people knew them. I don't know Mr. Brown, but I know he's coming into my community causing a lot of heartache for me and a lot of my neighbors. My question to you is this. Let me see here. We've talked about how his applications in the past have been vague. Well, this is the first time throughout this whole process that I have heard that he's planning on now living on the property. And we've gone through this, 3 times we've been up here in front of you? Has anybody else heard that? We've never heard that. So again, this continues to evolve depending on the audience we're in front of. And I wholeheartedly believe he hasn't followed the rules thus far. He's bought the property. I mean, he's done everything backwards by applying for the permit last. I truly believe once he gets into this property, I don't think he's going to follow the rules. And then we're going to be the bad guys, and we're the ones that are going to have to call and tell everybody, well, he's going past his curfew. The music's playing later. It's too loud. And I think that's an unfair responsibility on the homeowner's part. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next. Hello.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the time to speak today. As you consider, name Diana Swafford. As you consider Matt Brown's wedding event venue special use permit, I ask you to please consider this request in light of our county's zoning regulations. And I keep driving back to that because we have these for a reason. These regulations serve to promote the best interests of our neighborhoods, our surrounding areas, and our county. As such, for special use permits, the appropriateness of that use should be determined in consideration of the surrounding uses, activities, and conditions of the site of the surrounding areas. According to the standards and the regulations, it is incumbent on the applicant, Matt Brown, to clearly explain the following. Is this proposed use consistent with the goals and objectives of these regulations and the comprehensive plan? 2, is the proposed use not materially detrimental to public health, safety, convenience, and welfare of those living in the area, and it does not result in material damage or prejudice to other property in the vicinity? The proposed use must be compatible with and preserve the character and integrity of the surrounding area, which includes any improvements that are made on site and within the public rights of way. Lastly, the proposed use does not generate vehicular traffic which will be hazardous to the existing and anticipated traffic in the area.
However, I submit to you that this proposed use is not in the interest of the people who live nearby, nor is the use compatible with the surrounding character and integrity of the area. This event venue, I believe, will be detrimental to the safety, convenience, and welfare of the people who live in the neighborhood and the surrounding area, because it will generate noise, regardless of what he tells you, visual nuisances, and definitely an increase in traffic. An event venue that hosts parties 365 days a year, both day and night, will create much more traffic on Route D and 195th Street than it currently experiences, because this site has an open vendor policy, which means you will have delivery trucks coming from the Johnson County and KC metro areas traveling down Route D and 195th Street to make those deliveries. I have some handouts I want to give to you. Some you've seen before, some are new. Do you need another one? And your copy. So originally, that handout is what was given to us in the fall, where we were told mainly this would be a wedding event venue with no events held during the week. But as you can see from the other page, the screenshot of the website in March of this year, he had 70 different event types offered on his website. And according to the site then and now, people can and have already started booking for 2026, even though no permit has been approved. That website has since been scrubbed of all 17 events except for the wedding only. Ask Matt Brown if he intends to repopulate that website with all those 17 events he originally had on there in March. In fact, the scope of this event venue has changed in 4 months from weddings only on the weekends to different event types called 365 days a year, and now we're back to weddings only. Again, according to the standards, that proposed use must be in keeping with the size and the character of any construction required as part of that use, and must be in relationship to similar aspects of the surrounding area. That includes proportionality for the area, and it will not cause substantial injury to the value of any of the neighboring property around that site. I ask you, has Matt Brown clearly demonstrated how this venue is keeping in the character of the surrounding community and the aesthetics of the neighborhood, which is mainly a neighborhood composed of homes and agriculture? Keep in mind this is a commercial endeavor attempting to locate in the middle of an area near homes where people live. And how will having an event venue that hosts parties 365 days a year during the day and night and the evening not create injury to any of the neighboring values of those properties? I ask you this, who would want to buy a home in an area when they discover it's located near a noisy event venue that generates traffic on a daily basis? This has potential to diminish the property values for homeowners. We do not want this in our neighborhood. Matt Brown would not want it in his neighborhood in Leawood, Kansas, where he lives, any more than any of you would want this in the middle of your neighborhood where you live. And remember, this decision has to be based on reason, not for the purposes of convenience, profit, or the capricious intent of the landowner or user, in this case, Matt Brown. Matt Brown is requesting a variance that is different from the neighborhood and the surrounding area where it is located. And it is the landowner's responsibility to show that for this difference, according to the regulations, it will not create a detriment to or changes in the character of the neighboring land uses, nor set a precedent that may cause a detriment to the other areas of the county. Matt Brown is asking you that his parcel of land be classified for a totally different use from that of the surrounding area, for the benefit of him, but to the detriment of the people who live nearby. Variances are contrary to the general plan and welfare of the community in that it lifts out or separates a specific lot for different treatment that could be considered a form of spot zoning. And spot zoning is the antithesis of planning. Counties adopt comprehensive plans for the purposes of having long-term objectives that address the needs of the community, and that document is used when making those decisions. The key point is, any rezoning proposal should be consistent with the policies and land use designations set out in regulations and the comprehensive plan. And spot zoning is more frequently found in residential areas than in a commercial area. I ask you this: will the approval of this event venue open the floodgates to more unplanned development in the area? Is this in the best interest of the neighborhoods surrounding area and county? Or will this benefit one person who says he's going to move here but lives in Leawood, Kansas, and that is Matt Brown? Thank you.
Okay, next.
No, that's fine, that's enough.
3134.
Evening.
Hi. I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but there was some.
You are, ma'am?
I'm Terry Kreisel. I live at 1406 East 195th Street. I am less than far away as Peggy is. Peggy's, what, quarter of a mile? I'm the first house past when you come east on 195th Street. He's at 1401, I'm at 1406. He said there's only one house that the traffic will go by. That's my house. I get enough turnarounds in my driveway. I've had enough trouble with people. They come from homes, they come down my way, they're lost. So what do? They come down my driveway and ask for directions. I don't know where everybody lives. And I just see this just escalating. And you don't know what kind of people they are. My driveways may be an eighth of a mile or less long. You don't know if they're gonna drive clear into the property. I have dogs. I don't want them, I just don't want everybody coming down my driveway. And that's a lot of traffic going up in front of my house. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say, let's be clear. Sorry, sir.
Need your name, sir?
Peter Halbert.
Thank you.
Let's be clear that we're back here again because Mr. Brown doesn't follow the rules. He does what he wants. He tries to short circuit the system, and he's constantly changing what he's presenting to everyone, hoping that he'll find, it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping something will stick. And it makes it difficult for us, and it's a burden on us to continually have to present our concerns. And all we're asking of the board is to give us the consideration that we're just trying to protect our peace and quiet, our rights on our properties. One point that has not come up is the roadway. 195th is a mess, and it's not likely to get cleaned up anytime soon. I don't know the details, but I do know it's part of a Mount Pleasant Road district. And for that reason, that prevents any improvements. And this is going to add substantial traffic and wear and tear and make the road far worse. And for people coming in and everyone coming to this will have to travel from somewhere else. They'll be driving at night with alcohol, no lights, unfamiliar with the area, on bad roads. So, keeping it short and sweet tonight, and again, I think that we've given plenty of reasons, and we're asking you to deny this application to protect our rights. Thank you.
Hi, here we are again. I am Pam Ray, and you like to say the one that lives 1 mile away. Because that's how you identify me, because we're now so familiar. Oh, don't look that way. All right.
That's how I know you.
That's right. Okay, so several things. I didn't prepare anything tonight because I thought everything had been said. So this is kind of scattered. One thing I want to know is, are the letters that Mr. Brown submitted, are they certified? How do we know whose letters those are? Not questioning his honesty, but that would probably be required of most of us. Another question is, I am, if not anything else, I am a charitable person. So I'm not dissing the man that got up and said that he has the opportunity now to hold charitable events for free at this wedding venue. Does that jive? Wedding, charitable events. I thought it was a wedding venue tonight. Not real clear on that. I consider you guys like our business that we can complain to and you'll listen to. In the general understanding of a business, when one person complains, they are heard, but there are 10 to 25 other people that didn't bother to complain. Now, I don't know, I didn't count how many people are here tonight. You guys can do the math. You probably don't have anything else to do right now but listen to us talk. So 10 times however many people are here, or 25 times how many people are here. But that's a lot of people against one business entity that wants to come into our neighborhood, our community, and disrupt all of our lives for his own profit. I haven't heard anything that's going to benefit any of us. I don't know, maybe you guys have. You didn't, I don't think, last time, because you voted 4-0 against his proposal. Now he's altered it. It still sounds a little shaky to me, but maybe it doesn't to you guys. I don't know. I'm kind of shaky, so I don't know what else I was going to say. I can't even read my own words.
Well, take your time.
He says he wants to be a good neighbor. I don't know about you, but if you go to your neighbor's house and say, this is what I want to do across the street from you, does that make you think he's a good neighbor when he says, oh, well, here's what I want to do. I want to have a loud dog next to you or an obnoxious whatever. Does that make that person a good neighbor to you? Well, it doesn't to us. When somebody is forcing their way and what they want to profit by into our community, that just doesn't feel like a neighbor to me. Anyway, it's our home, and we would appreciate that you represent us and those of us that aren't here times 10 to 25 and listen to us tonight. And we appreciate your time for the, third time? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else like to speak? All right, Mr. Brown.
There was an email that was submitted to the board from someone who was not able to make it tonight, Mr. Charles Hayes. You guys received that at the beginning of the meeting?
Yeah, you include that in the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you taking notes, sir?
Yes, I sure did.
Let's go with it.
Okay, let's see here. So first, the first issue was raised, well, a couple different times regarding the noise. And Brent from Advanced Sound and Communication, so he uses scientific instruments to measure everything. And I know that his equipment and the methodology that he uses, could even potentially be used in a court of law. So it's standards that are just super high, and it's valid the way that he does it. And he mentioned to me, and if we need to have him clarify it, but the law doesn't require total silence. Just the sound levels will be so low, lower than a library, which is really just a super soft whisper. And then the next thing regarding noise is that, when he did his testing at, I can't remember, 100, 105 decibels, whatever it was, no one was able to hear that during the testing. And so I think that's just a testament to the sound really doesn't carry that far. And if it does, it's just super, super quiet. And the point of that rooftop study, where it was 342 compared to 92, was really just to demonstrate that other event venues, that have already been approved, that are similarly situated, have the same or more rooftops. Really, and I guess in that case, really more rooftops. And just to clarify, that our music will be done at 10:30, not 11:30. We just need that hour time for cleanup and for the folks to exit. So 10:30 would be the latest that any music would happen indoors. Outdoors, it's 9 p.m. And like I said, we don't plan on doing any outdoor receptions at all. I did mention today that outflow of traffic, it is staggered, just like it is when it's incoming, and nearly all of the traffic is going to actually turn right or go north on homes, and they don't pass any of the neighbors except for one, and that's it's Rochelle Worrell, the one that spoke on our behalf. She's the one that's closest to the railroad tracks, just to the west of our property. The mention was about the trucks, and I don't believe they really operate too much at night or in those late evening hours. So I don't know that any truck traffic would be an issue. And again, just to clarify, weddings will be the most intense. Yeah, we do intend on doing other types of events, but our focus is on weddings. But everything else will be less intense than weddings. Next was brought up regarding the number of days per year, saying that we might have things 365 days. I don't think there's any possibility of us having that. We foresee it's just a couple times a week, just mostly the weekend is really the nature of this particular business. And really all the other wedding venues that have been approved really have that same 365 day operating availability. I think they're all pretty much the same, just the weekends being the key. And then to clarify on that patio that we removed it was removed from the original design. The original design had patios on both sides. The one that was facing northeast, we did remove that from the design, just so we have one facing to the southwest. Let's see here. The question about the wine glasses being kept full constantly. Well, we'd use the same standards. Again, we don't want anybody driving drunk. Same standards when serving to guests that are coming up to the bar. It's just it's called a wine pour. Basically, rather than someone having to come up to the bar, if someone pays additional for that, they can get additional wine at their table. And that's a common practice amongst wedding venues. But again, we don't want anybody to get drunk. We want no one driving drunk. So we'll have the same standards when it comes to that. Regarding us living on the property, I hadn't mentioned in the past. I didn't realize the importance of it, but we really have wanted to and planned on living on the property since the beginning. I just hadn't said anything. And we'll 100% abide by all the rules. I mean, we know the importance of this. I can't afford to having built and spending a lot of money to only have, issues later. We're gonna abide by the SUP, and work with the neighbors 100%, because we could never afford to have our SUP permit pulled, because we'll have a loan on the property, and we want to ensure that we can continue doing business. If we don't have the permit, we can't do business. So we'll be abiding by the rules 100%. Let's see. Oh, one thing we did do, let me just find it here. Okay, the issue of home values going down, I think that's been brought up previously. So we did do some analysis for homes sold in 2020, and the average was $120 per square foot, and that grew to $163 per square foot in 2024. And this is for the surrounding area of Silo Hills Farm event space, one that's already been approved. It's located about 4 miles away from us, and they started hosting their events first in October of 2023. So it's a 35.8% increase in the home value since 2020, and that really aligns with broader market trends. And so we verified those numbers. We did some manual calculations, and we verified those numbers using a couple AIs as well. Again, I guess just to reiterate, we made all the changes to address the concerns because, again, we want to be good neighbors. I want to be able to stay in contact with all these folks. We want to have a business that is a blessing to the county and to the neighbors, and not something that's negative. And that's why, we asked for all those SUPs so we could be in line really with just everybody else. That's the reason why the commissioners asked us to come back down so we could represent and really just show that we're in line with everybody else. And I think the last issue raised was regarding the letters. I think maybe 2 of the letters were sent directly to Sierra with just a copy to me. I just forwarded a couple to you today, the folks that just sent it to me directly. I think that's it for my notes.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Valerie, you want to provide any commentary? Anything you want to bring us up to date on?
I do not have anything to add unless you guys have questions for me. We all know this is the 3rd time it's been here. It's been the BZA a couple of times. I think regardless of the decision needs to be probably the last time. That's my opinion.
All right, anybody have any questions further for Valerie or the applicant? Chair would accept the motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve application 3134 for conceptual and special use permit as submitted along with the planning board respectively.
Okay, Obi's made the motion to approve application 3134 as submitted. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike with the second. Okay, any questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All abstained? You vote yes? Okay, so the vote is 3-2 to approve the application. So the application has been approved. It has been recommended to the commissioners, same, Wednesday, April 30th at noon. No, not this one?
Nope, this one will be reposted. This is the only one we didn't set a date for because it's went back and forth so many times, we did not notice it up in the paper for the BZA.
Stay in touch with the website of Valerie. Okay, same for you all.
Okay,